They say betrayal changes you. It rewires something deep in your soul, not instantly, not even consciously. But over time, piece by piece, it strips you of everything you thought you knew about love, safety, and trust. My name is not important. What matters is that I'm just like you, or maybe who you used to be. Someone who loved deeply, someone who trusted, someone who believed that marriage meant something sacred. And then, one day, that world shattered. It's been a little over 3 years now since my wife sat me down and told me the truth. The words felt like bullets. She had been having an affair. Not just a fleeting mistake, not a drunken one-night stand, but a 5-year-long affair. 5 years, half a decade of lies. Of shared beds and shared meals and shared dreams. All while she was living a second life I knew nothing about. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I remember the way the light hit the room. I remember the sound of her voice. Calm, trembling, but deliberate. I remember the way time slowed down, like I was watching the world collapse through a window I couldn't break. And I remember the silence afterward. Not just the silence in the room, but the silence inside me. The kind that comes when something in your soul just breaks. That day, something in me died. And for the next 2 years, I lived like a ghost, drifting through my own life, haunted by questions I couldn't stop asking. The first 2 years were a waking nightmare. I couldn't sleep. Nights were the worst. I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like a war drum, my mind replaying every moment of our marriage, dissecting it, second-guessing it, poisoning every memory with suspicion. Had it started earlier than she said? Did I miss the signs? Was it my fault? There wasn't a single hour in the day when my mind wasn't consumed. The obsession was relentless, like I was trapped in a loop I couldn't escape. I talked to her. I yelled. I cried. I begged. I shut down. We went to therapy. Individual, couples, everything we could afford. I devoured books on betrayal, infidelity, trauma, healing. I became obsessed with understanding the psychology of affairs, as if knowing why could undo the pain. But no matter how much I read, no matter how many sessions we had, nothing changed the fact that I was still drowning. I didn't realize it at first, but I had become addicted, not to her, not even to love, but to knowing. Knowing everything. I needed to understand every detail of her affair. Every conversation, every touch, every lie. I interrogated her constantly, not because I wanted to punish her, but because I couldn't rest. My brain wouldn't let me. The moment there was silence, the questions started clawing at me. Did you ever love him? Did you compare us? Did you ever lie to my face after being with him? My need for answers became a prison. I was trapped in it, and worse, I was dragging her into it too. Our conversations became battlegrounds, and no matter what she said, I never felt satisfied. Because the truth is, no answer can satisfy betrayal. The only real cure for that kind of soul wound is healing. And I hadn't even begun that journey yet. 2.5 years later, something broke in me. I couldn't do it anymore. The endless suspicion, the obsessive questioning. I was killing myself from the inside out. I was running myself into the ground trying to find peace in a past that couldn't be changed. And so I asked her to take a polygraph. Yeah, I know, sounds dramatic, but I needed to know, with certainty, if there was anything else she hadn't told me. I couldn't move forward with doubt eating at my brain like acid. She agreed, without hesitation, and she passed. That moment, that test, gave me something I hadn't had in almost 3 years: closure. Not total forgiveness, not healing, but certainty. And for the first time, the voices in my head, the stories, the nightmares, the paranoid fantasies, finally, quieted. It was like someone lifted a massive stone off my chest. She told me everything. That became my mantra. Every time my mind tried to dive back into the darkness, I repeated it to myself. She told me everything. Just stop. You are not helping yourself right now. And slowly, I began to believe it. The emotional storms still came. Oh, they came. Maybe once a week, sometimes twice. I'd spiral, I'd cry, I'd feel that crushing pain grip me again. But each time, it was smaller, shorter, less intense. Then came a day, and I'll never forget it, when I said out loud, enough. That day, I made a decision. I was done giving the affair control over my life. No more questions. No more accusations. No more feeding the monster that lived in the past. I told myself, from this day on, I will never again bring up the affair with her. Not out loud. Not in anger. Not in desperation. And I meant it. That doesn't mean the feelings disappeared overnight. Of course not. But I gave myself a new rule. If the thoughts come, and they did come, I wouldn't dump them on her. I wrote them down instead. I bought a notebook, just a simple journal, and every time the pain came, I wrote. Every question I wanted to ask her, wrote it. Every angry thought I wanted to scream, wrote it. Every tear I couldn't cry in front of her, wrote it. It became my therapy, my sanctuary, my space to feel everything without setting fire to the fragile rebuilding we were doing together. And it worked. Not overnight, not magically, but slowly. Writing gave me clarity. It helped me track my emotions, notice patterns, recognize triggers. I could bring those pages to my therapist and say, here. This is what I'm dealing with. I stopped reacting, and started understanding. People talk a lot about the emotional pain of betrayal, but few talk about the physical toll. In those early days, the first weeks, the first month, I was in a constant state of hypervigilance. My body was locked in fight or flight. I was always on edge. Muscles tight, jaw clenched. My chest hurt all the time. I couldn't breathe fully. I'd lie in bed, trying to sleep, but my heart wouldn't slow down. My mind wouldn't stop racing. My body was acting like it was in danger, and in a way, it was. Because betrayal isn't just an emotional wound. It's a trauma, and trauma lives in the body. I lost my appetite. I lost weight. I couldn't focus on anything. Work felt impossible. Even small tasks felt enormous. I was a shadow of who I used to be. But somewhere between days 16, 17, 20, 25, something shifted. The pain was still there, yes. But it wasn't wild anymore. It had shape, edges, triggers I could see coming. I learned to breathe through them. In therapy, I learned grounding exercises, how to pull myself out of spiraling thoughts and back into my body. When I felt overwhelmed, I'd grip the arms of the chair, feel the floor under my feet, count the objects in the room, anything to remind myself, I am safe, I am here, this moment is not the past. And slowly, my nervous system started to believe it. There were still hard days, still breakdowns, but now I had tools. I wasn't drowning anymore. I was learning how to swim. And then, day 55, I didn't write in my journal. Not because I was too tired. Not because I forgot, but because I didn't need to. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and realized I hadn't obsessed that day. No spirals, no breakdowns, no urge to ask, dig, or relive. 6 whole days passed before I opened that journal again. 6 days of quiet. I didn't even know what peace felt like anymore, not until then. It wasn't a loud victory. It wasn't fireworks or a breakthrough moment in therapy. It was silence. No inner screaming. No self-punishment. No racing thoughts. Just silence. And in that silence, I breathed. Between day 55 and day 100, I only wrote in the journal maybe twice. Not because the pain had magically disappeared, but because I was finally learning how to carry it without letting it crush me. There were still memories that stung. Still moments when I felt sadness wash over me unexpectedly. At the sound of a song, or a photo tucked in a drawer, or just an idle Tuesday afternoon. But now, I didn't fear those moments. I let them pass through me like wind through a field. I stopped gripping the pain. I let go. And here's the crazy part. The less I fed those painful thoughts, the less power they had over me. I wasn't avoiding them. I just wasn't letting them dictate every moment of my life anymore. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was this. Healing is no one's job but your own. Not your partner's, not your therapist's, not your friends', your family's, or anyone else's. They can support you, they can love you, but only you can decide to heal. I used to think that if she just answered one more question, or said, "I'm sorry," the right way, or showed enough remorse, then I'd feel better. But it never worked that way. Because even when she did do those things, it only gave me temporary relief. Like a shot of morphine. Numbing, but not healing. Real healing started the day I stopped fighting her, and started fighting myself. My worst instincts, my rage, my despair, my victimhood. I stopped asking her to carry my brokenness and started learning how to carry it myself. And that was the turning point. For a long time, I came to Reddit every day, looking for stories like mine, looking for validation, for justice, for people who understood. And in the beginning, it helped. I needed it, but eventually, it started hurting more than it helped. Reading new betrayal stories, fresh wounds, ongoing battles, it pulled me back into the pain. It reminded me of how angry I used to be, how helpless, and I realized, most people who post here are still in it, still bleeding, still drowning, but the ones who heal, who move forward, we don't come back here much. Not because we don't care, but because we're living. I came back today to tell you that healing is real. It's possible, and one day, this place won't feel like home anymore, and that's a good thing. Here's the part some of you might struggle with, but it's the truth. My wife, the same woman who betrayed me, was also a part of my healing. Not because she made grand gestures, not because she begged or groveled, but because she changed. She didn't just apologize. She worked, she read books, she went to therapy, she talked to me, not defensively, not dismissively, but openly, vulnerably. She listened, even when it was hard. She gave me space when I needed it. And she stood with me when I broke down. She didn't win me back. She earned my trust, one consistent day at a time. In the past year, we traveled together. Egypt, the Maldives, Dubai, Greece, Singapore, Bali, every place, a new page in a chapter we were choosing to write, together. And with every step, I felt lighter. Not because those places fixed us, but because they reminded me, there is a world beyond pain. A world that still holds beauty, connection, laughter, love. And on those trips, I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Joy, not just less pain, but real, present, joy. If you're listening to this right now, and you're hurting, really hurting, I want to tell you something. There is light at the end of this tunnel, but it doesn't come from justice. It doesn't come from revenge. It doesn't even come from the perfect apology. It comes when you choose to stop fighting everyone else, and start walking toward your own healing. Even if they never say sorry. Even if they don't change. Even if you walk the rest of the journey alone. Your healing is yours. You are not alone. I know what it's like to be crushed by betrayal. To feel like your heart is bleeding every second of the day. To lose sleep. To lose weight, to lose yourself. But I also know what it's like to wake up one morning and feel whole again. Not because someone else fixed me, but because I stopped waiting and started rebuilding. Brick by brick, word by word, day by day. Answer: can you fight for yourself? Journal your pain. Talk to someone who hears you, even if it's just the page. And keep moving, because peace is waiting. And you deserve it.